Today we're going to make chicken and sausage etouffee. Etouffee, a Cajun dish, typically is a seafood stew. I have a lot of friends that do not or cannot eat shrimp, so I decided to modify it a little bit and make it more eater friendly. So here's the ingredients. We have a teaspoon each of salt and pepper. We have a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole Cajun seasoning. I have 6 garlic cloves diced up. I have 1 tablespoon each of thyme and Italian seasoning. I have about 2 tablespoons of Louisiana hot sauce, the original Louisiana hot sauce. 2 tablespoons of oil. Another 2 tablespoons of oil. Another teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. I have 2 large diced up chicken breasts, a 12-ounce package of andouille sausage, also quartered up into small pieces. I have about 3, maybe 4 celery stalks diced up, 1 whole red bell pepper diced up. I have a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, and I have, which is also 3 cups. I have about 3 cups of chicken broth as well. And over here, I've got a 1/4 cup of flour and a 1/4 cup of oil for our roux. I have a hot pan, 2 tablespoons of oil, diced up chicken breast, season with your Tonys. You're going to brown that on both sides. Alright, you can see the chicken breasts are get nice and brown. I'm going to put a little more Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning on this side of the chicken. I'm going to let that brown for a minute or 2. Alright, the chicken's nice and brown on both sides. Give it a little flip here. Should be good to go. We're going to set that to the side. Alright, in the same pan, you're going to cook your sausage. You're going to get brown all the way around. Shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes. Sausage is nice and brown. Should be good to go. Set it to the side. Two tablespoons of oil, your diced onion, and celery, and red bell pepper. This is called the Holy Trinity. It's very common and necessary in Cajun cooking. If you're not using the Holy Trinity, people are going to look at you like you're funny, or like you have 2 heads, or you're a dragon. I'm going to add my salt and pepper to this mix. We're going to cook this, saute this for about 3 to 4 minutes until these vegetables start getting soft and translucent. Now they've been cooking for a couple minutes, they're starting to get a little translucent. Let's see if you can see what I'm talking about. Starting to get a little clear on the edges. At this point, we can add our garlic. You don't want to add the garlic first and risk it getting burnt. Once garlic's burnt, it's really bitter and very, very, very strong. You can't get that flavor out. Let's add our thyme and our Italian seasoning. We're going to add our hot sauce. I'm going to probably end up adding a little bit more hot sauce to that. Give that a nice stir. Get those herbs and the garlic and the hot sauce nice and evenly coated around all the vegetables. It's looking really nice. We'll let that cook another minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then we'll add the chicken and sausage back in there. Alright, our Holy Trinity is looking really good. You see all those herbs in there, and the vegetables are getting nice and clear, which is exactly what we're looking for. We're going to go ahead and add our chicken and sausage back into the mix. And let those flavors marry for a couple of minutes. Alright, we'll let that cook for another minute and a half. We'll set it to the side and we'll go to the next step. Alright, that's been cooking for another couple of minutes. All those flavors should be all nice and married and very tasty. We're going to take this mixture, set it to the side, actually pour it into another pan. I have some flavors in this pan I want to use for this next step. Next step, we're going to make a roux. That's going to be equal parts oil, and in this case I've got a 1/4 cup of oil. And I'm using a canola olive oil blend, and we're going to get the flour as well. It's also a 1/4 cup. Now what you're doing is you're toasting the flour with the oil, and you're cooking that flour taste out of there, giving the flour a nice nuttiness. And you can see the oil that was left on the bottom of the pan from the chicken and sausage and vegetables and herbs is being picked up by this oil and flour. And once this cooks for about 30 seconds, I'm not making a gumbo, so I'm not trying to make it dark. That's about how I want it. I'm going to add my 3 cups of chicken stock. Stir, stir, stir. Whisk, whisk, whisk. This roux will actually help to thicken the sauce as well. This part, it doesn't have to be that super thick because I've got some crushed tomatoes going there along with everything else that will also act as a thickener, so that when you go to pour it over rice or even potatoes, should be just about a right amount of thickness. And as this continues to cook, it will thicken up a little bit. And what we're going to have is, it's basically a gravy. You're going to have your stew for your etouffee. And in this case, we're going to let this cook for, we'll let it cook for about 1.5 minutes, and I'll give it an occasional stir. Then we'll add the crushed tomatoes that I have. All right, check it out. She's getting thicker. She's not so splashy. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm gonna use it anyway. See how it's bubbling? It's not bubbling like it's boiling water. It's bubbling like it's got some flour in there, and it's actually getting thick. You could put this over gravy, and it would act like mashed potatoes and gravy. Be nice and thick. At this point, we're gonna add the crushed tomatoes. I think the brand I used this time was called Red Gold, I think. I always have a hard time finding the crushed tomatoes because they always seem to change their branding on their packages. So this is the first one I saw, so I grabbed it. We're going to whisk that in together. Actually, let's use a spoon. Alright, I've got my crushed tomatoes and that roux that we made nice and mixed. You can see how bubbly it is. Now we're going to try to carefully take that, pour it into that without splashing and burning myself. Very hard to do with one hand. I'm trying to video this and do this, cook this at the same time. Look how beautiful it is. Alright, let's mix that up very carefully. I failed to mention you need a fairly large pot. You can do it in a large pot like that if you wanted to, or you could do it in a very large. Most people don't have this size of a pan, so a large pot like that will work too. I'm going to mix this up, let it cook for a minute. We're going to taste it and see if we need to add. Alright, it's been cooking for about 3-4 minutes, maybe 5. I just tasted it, and we're going to add about a tablespoon more, some dry herbs. About a half a teaspoon more of Tony Chachere's. I think I said that right, Chachere's. And we're going to add a few dashes, some more hot sauce. I'm going to stir this up nice, let it cook for another couple minutes. And this is actually better the next day if you can wait, but it will certainly be good as is right out of the pot, or if you have 30 minutes or an hour, you can let it sit in the pan and all those flavors really marry together, and pour it over rice or mashed potatoes. Alright, y'all, it's the chicken and sausage etouffee. It's been sitting about 10 minutes, so all these flavors have decided to marry together. You can see it's nice and rich and thick with the roux and the crushed tomatoes. I've made a brown rice, put it right on top. Just get some of those nice vegetables. there you have it. Chicken and sausage etouffee.